Hey everybody, welcome to today's stream. Hope everybody's doing good today. So, if you didn't see the title, we are going to do some patriotic blanks today. I was kind of looking at the calendar, and 4th of July is a little ways away, but the way everything works, we'll do these. We'll have to let them, fully cure. And then if anybody wants to get any of these things, we would kind of have to do it this week to make that in time. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to play around. So what I have in mind for today, I've done different types of, kind of 4th of July patriotic blanks in the past, but I was thinking let's do red, white, and blue. And so we're going to do a couple of different types of things though. And the other thing, one thing I've never really done that I don't remember ever doing this before, is doing mini pine cones with red, white, and blue and Cholla. So in the oven, I've got some Cholla cactus, and I just went with the kind of non-dyed or anything like that. So we just have some kind of regular Cholla. We'll do some pen blanks with those, and I got some mini pine cones baking. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun to just kind of play around, make some pen blanks, and have a little bit of fun today. So the other thing that I want to do is one thing that we haven't played with from Wine Country micas is the macro pearl, and I think I've mentioned this before. One thing you can do with macro pearl is just add dye to it, and it really turns into kind of, it is the best mimic of like the diamond dust, I would say. So you can just add a little bit of dye to that, add some of the macro pearl powder, and it looks kind of diamondy. So I think we'll probably do that with the Cholla. Just because there's going to be a little bit more like negative space with those. So you'll kind of see that a little bit more. And then we'll just do some, I have 3 colors actually picked out for the other batch that'll just be the pine cones. For the white, I really like micro pearl. So we'll use the Wine Country micro pearl for that. No Con blue from Eye Candy. This one's a really nice dark blue, so I thought we'd pull that one out. And then Wine Red from P-Town. So we're going to mix it all up with all kinds of different colors today. And I know that nobody's going to get in on the colors, but it's kind of hard to pick colors when it's red, white, and blue time. So anyway, that's the plan for today. I hope everybody's excited. So scrolling up, well, let's see. We got Dave. Dave already super chatted. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. I was looking in the chat, and somebody was asking about flower. I think it was Richard. I was asking about casting flowers, and I don't have a whole lot of experience with this, but you do definitely have to dry them. If it's like big flowers, they can be kind of tough and they can take a long time to dry out. You're going to probably want to use silica gel to dry them out. I would search around on YouTube. There are a few people that have done videos on casting flowers, and I know actually the funny thing is, on the podcast Monday, 2 days ago, Casey was actually talking about this specific thing for like a wedding bouquet thing. He had friends asking him, and he kind of just said, I'm not going to do it. So we were kind of talking about things that, people have asked us to do, and I mentioned that, there's a couple things that were like sensitive things where there's like a finite amount of it, and I don't really do custom orders anyway, but I always shy away from things like that, because if I don't have a lot of experience doing it, I'm like, man, there's like, it's a 50-50 shot that this is going to turn out. So, and I'm not dissuading you. It's not that difficult, but you definitely need to dry out those flowers. For that, I would probably use like deep pour or something like that, like something that has a really long working time and that doesn't heat up that much. That's probably a better way to go, possibly. So there's like different ways, but I would definitely look into, search around on YouTube, see if anybody's done any kind of like tutorials on this. I'd almost guarantee that some of the more crafty kind of resin casting channels have probably done flower bouquet preservation videos. I know it's a hot thing right now. So look around and see if you can find some guidance from somebody that's done more of it. But definitely you got to have those flowers dried out fully. And then, like I said, like a slow setting resin is probably the better way to go on that. So just wanted to kind of put in my 2 cents on it. Like I said, I haven't really done, I've cast a few flowers, but usually they're kind of small and don't have any like, long-term success or experience with doing this kind of stuff though. So Anyway, let's see here. What else we got? Anybody else in the chat doing anything fun? Looking forward to some pine cones. I know, I really love pine cones. They're really fun. And I'm starting, you know, I make a lot of my pen blanks have like the kind of medium size. And I like that look, but they can be kind of a pain. They can warp and do weird stuff sometimes. And it you know, it kind of has to do with moisture and how you cut them and all this kind of stuff. And like the mini pine cones, those are like, you just dump them in. You don't have to stabilize them or do anything. So I love them. And Cholla is always fun too. I enjoy a little bit of Cholla. So let's see here. Suddenly you want to swoop up pine cones from your yard. Yeah, I know. That's the nice thing is there's pine cones everywhere. Now I ended up buying those. I don't have the bag. Where did I buy those? I think it was this company online called Quick Candles. I know it's weird, but I was searching around because I couldn't find the specific ones that I wanted around here, and so I ended up just buying a bag. And you can get them for relatively cheap. I know there's lots on Etsy. There's probably tons on eBay. Facebook is probably a good place. Some of the groups that sell, you know, casting supplies or turning supplies and stuff. So you can just pick some up if you want, you know. But yeah, they're easy to just go out in the yard and grab some. Let's see here. Curtis is here. How's it going? Yeah, so have a problem centering them in blanks. Yeah, that can be kind of tough. I usually cut mine to kind of fit perfectly to about an inch, you know, if I'm doing a brick of them. It's a lot easier actually if you do like a pipe. You can just kind of shove it down in there depending on the size. And then if you're doing like singles, that's even easier. Then you just cut it, you know, you just cut the thing to the size, and then you can pour your resin over it. So that's not too bad. But it can be kind of, if you're not kind of careful and do things like, you know, very precisely, somewhat precisely, it can be a little bit tougher to line a bunch of them up. But I do make mine square. I cut the things off on the bandsaw, cut like the leaves off so that they line up. Just makes things a lot easier for that kind of casting. Christmas pine cones, nice. It smells like cinnamon. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. There's not much you can do about the spine. Because they're always bent, you know, and stuff. So you just gotta, frankly, I actually like it. I kind of like it if it's like a little bit off, actually, off center, especially for pens. Because if it's right down the center, you have you may drill out, depending on there's tons of different pine cones, so it all depends, but you may end up drilling out most of the kind of center of it. So you got to kind of watch that too. So I kind of like the side a little bit. All right, so let's get going here. So I have a mold. It's one of my 6 blank, which is a 5x6. I got that warming up in the oven. I got the pine cones, and I've had the pine cones, those little mini pine cones, and the Cholla in the oven for a while. I think some of that might be, I'm not 100% sure if the Cholla was stabilized or not. I think some of the pieces are, some of them aren't, is basically what it is. I don't really think that you need to stabilize Cholla that much. A lot of times I will just do it so that I don't have to worry about drying it, but that stuff's pretty dry. And I put it in the oven, both the pine cones and the Cholla. I put it in the oven probably an hour ago, actually a few hours ago. So it's been in the oven at like 150 or something like that for a few hours. That's just going to flash off kind of surface moisture, hopefully suck a little bit of moisture out. But you want to make sure that what you're starting with, if whatever it is, like you don't want to go outside, pick up pine cones off the ground and then shove them in resin because they're going to be full of moisture. So you need to make sure that they're somewhat dry before you start. Then you can just kind of throw them in for like an hour or so and you'll be good to go. All right. So just a couple, Richard, thanks. I love that little pear guy. He's so fun. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. All right, so let's get rolling here. So the first one that we're gonna do, let's do the Cholla. And I'm gonna switch to the overhead view real quick. What is that? That's the Canon. And actually, before we even begin, a couple things here. So last week we did the tray. I got to move all my jugs. So I was wrong. I was thinking that this camera would show it, and it doesn't. It's not. It's not actually on the camera. There it is. So it turned out pretty awesome, actually. I'm really digging it. Sometimes, you know, I was kind of, you know, fuddling around with it and doing some weird stuff. And so I wasn't sure how it was going to kind of, you know, finish out, and it really looks good, I think. What do you guys think about that? I'm gonna put the intro cam so you can kind of just, I'll just hold it up for you guys. Pretty cool. Like I said, I didn't really care if it was perfect or not, because I'm just going to shove my jugs of Alumilite on it. But it was fun, and the little drips are kind of fun, and I don't know, it was a really cool project. So very simple way to go. You can just buy a tray. Tons of people do it this way. They just go buy like an IKEA tray thing, or whatever, you know, go to Walmart and buy like a little serving tray, and then just, you know, cover like that top surface with resin. It's an easy way to go. I just slapped mine together with a few pieces of plywood. So if you're a woodworker, you can make your own kind of thing, you know, do a little bit of a design thing, or you can just go buy it or whatever, and then just slap some resin on it, and it's super simple. It's a great project. So this one, so you can kind of see, this is what this tray does. It just holds the jugs so that they don't get liquid all over them. Holds all my stuff right there. It's a little tray. So I'm pretty excited about it. It turned out good. And if you can see behind me, let's see here, I'll go to the intro view. So I got my shelf up, and I got some things on it. I actually kind of quickly threw all these things on it today, but it's all done, and it's sturdy, and it's holding everything nicely. So another fun project, and a pretty easy one to do, really, you know. The only issue that I had, now, I mean, if I'm standing this close to it and like really looking at it, the finish looks fabulous, honestly. Everything looks great. The only thing that I do know for sure, and it actually works out in my favor, when I was putting the top coat on, I put a top coat on the bottom only real quick, and then, you know, let that cure up, and then flipped it, and then did the top and sides. And the problem was, it was kind of, you know, there was little drips here and there, and every once in a while I would come and run my finger under, you know, like to just kind of wipe it off. And I ended up with like just a little bit of a kind of a lump kind of thing of resin on the bottom. That probably the way to fix that is to sand it down a little bit, and then, you know, just put another coat on the bottom. I don't know. One thought that occurs to me is I think you might almost be better off doing like the top first, letting it drip and do whatever, and not worry about what's on the bottom. You know, just kind of wipe it off and just deal with it. If it's something where the bottom, you know, kind of matters, I guess. This, it doesn't really, but, and then at that point, then you flip it over and just do the top, and don't let it, you know, go over the sides. And that might actually be a better way to go, possibly. I don't know. I don't think I would do it the opposite way. I think I would want to get the top totally covered and let it kind of drip down the sides and do all that, then do the bottom. Because it just may not be perfect, but it turned out pretty good, so I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah, the blind, so the only thing that I want to say about the blind shelf, and so it'll be on the, I mentioned it during the Patreon live stream. They have two different types of stuff at Rockler, and they're like exactly the same thing. The blind shelf supports. Let me go get one for you guys. Show you what I'm working with. So here's what they are, and they're just like these post things that mount to the wall and all this. I bought the ones that are like iSemble is the brand name or whatever, iSemble. These were cheaper, and so I'm like, oh, I'll just take the cheapest ones. They look the same, and they are exactly the same except for one thing. The little post things require you to have a, what was it, a 31/64 drill bit or some odd number. And it's just stupid, because if you're going to be drilling deep, you need to get a longer drill bit than normal. And so finding number one, a brad point in a weird odd size like that that's long is impossible. I didn't search that hard, but I'm not going to, you know, do, I was just like, whatever. So I bought some, you know, a regular drill bit, and it worked fine, but I would recommend spending a couple extra bucks and getting the Rockler brand ones, because they're 7/16 posts that you have to drill. It's a 7/16 hole, and they have a 10-inch Forstner, or not Forstner, Brad Point drill bit that works perfect for that thing. So it's kind of silly. They should just get rid of this iSymbols junk. Don't don't cheap out on it. Just get the Rockler one, the Rockler brand. And these are both on Rockler's website, so you got to kind of watch what you're doing. That's my tip of the day. And I ended up, the problem was I would have actually, because I ended up buying drill bits from Rockler, I think. But so I could have just bought the 7/16 hardware, but I bought like 5 or 6 of those things because I'm like, oh, these would be kind of fun in the house or whatever. And I didn't really want to just waste all that money on the hardware, so I bought a drill bit instead. So anyway, enough hardware stories. All right, so we'll get that thing going. We'll get my gloves on. So we'll start out with the Cholla, and we're going to do macro pearl, and we're going to add dye to it. That's a really cool way to get it really looks kind of like a diamond dust kind of thing, but it's obviously fake, not real diamond dust. All right, so we're going to be using the Wine Country Macro Pearl. Just open this up. It's a little bit different than your normal mica powder. It's kind of chunky, almost like a glitter in a sense. And so you put some of this stuff in, the resin, and then add a little bit of dye, and it's like a glittery color, right? Pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, so first things first, we're going to get our thing ready. So I'm just going to load this guy up with my Chollas. Get these guys set up, and I'm running them sideways. So the pen blanks are going to be cut this way. They're going to be laying this way. So the Cholla is going to go side to side. That's kind of my favorite way to go. It looks cool if the Cholla is running the length of the pen. It's not like it's a bad way to go, but I just kind of like this look a little bit more personally. All right, so I'm going to pop that back into the oven, keep that mold and the Cholla warm. So I'm going to switch to this view so you can kind of see what I'm doing as well. And we'll pull out our book of notes. All right, so number 1, we're doing Cholla, macro pearls. All right, so that mold holds about 540 grams, somewhere in that neighborhood. Putting a little bit of Cholla in there, but I'm just going to fill it up. And let's see, we're doing red, white, and blue. What I think I'm going to do is I think we're going to go... I could split it down, like thirds, but I think what we'll do is we'll use like a... I don't know, slightly different. Let's do more blue. Let's do 45% blue, 35% red, and 20% white. How about that? All right, so 95, 60. And we're going to add macro pearl to each cup, to each color. And then all we're going to do is we're going to add red Alumilite dye. This is, I know it doesn't have like their bottle there, but that's what it is. Red Alumilite dye. And blue, let's see. Yeah, I think their normal blue is a little darker, and I think in this case that's going to be a good one. Blue. And then for white, let's see here. I think we are gonna add a little bit of white dye. I'm gonna kind of sneak up on it and see how that goes, because the white dye is totally opaque, and we don't want to lose all the sparkly, from that. All right, so I'm just gonna write MP macro pearl, and I think what we'll do here is probably go for. We'll start out with a 1/4 teaspoon of macro pearl in the 2 larger ones. And then 1/8 in the smallest, the 60, the white one. We'll just kind of see how everything goes with this. And if I need to add more macro pearl, we can do that. And we're going to add some blue dye, probably just like a drop, I don't know, or 2. It's probably all we're going to need with the dyes. White, that's going to have to be, I'm going to have to kind of play with that. See, because if you go too far, like I said, it becomes extremely opaque. But macro pearl on its own in clear resin is not opaque at all. So we're going to have to kind of play with it a little bit, you know. Just the nature of the beast. Let's see here. So come on. Get a cup out. Right there. Another cup out for the next batch. All right. Looks like we're good to go. We have the right cameras. Everything's good. All right. So zeroed the scale out. We're going to need, let's see here. $275 times 2. Went a little bit over. Oh, we're good. Okay. Scale kind of evened out. So zero that. And then my stupid pump clogged up, so I just have the regular cap back on it. Jeez. Sticky. So I'm going to sneak up on this here, 275. Man, 74.7. Be careful. 275. Look at that. 0.1. That's okay. Get on there, cap. Okay, so we got our bucket. Let me get two others. And actually, in this case, yeah, so I'm going to leave the blue, the largest amount I'm going to leave in this big container. So I need 60 in this one for the white, and I need 95 in this one. All right, so that's how we got things rolling here. Everybody can kind of see what's going on. Let me get this thing zeroed out now. And grab a stir stick and mix this up. Pretty warm in the shop today. It's going to be really hot here for the next like 3 or 4 days. It's supposed to get in the hundreds, I think. I figured that would be a good cue for me to do a little planning retreat and not come to the shop. So, my wife went out of town for work, so I'm doing the bachelor thing anyway. I figured that's a good time for me to get a little bit of planning and stuff done at home while she's gone. I can kind of take my time and take a little bit of a break too, since I'm caught up with everything so far. Okay. Nope, that didn't stay zeroed. All right. So what I'm going to do is dump 95 grams in this. A little bit over. No big deal. Exactness doesn't really matter in this case. Zero this guy out. About 60 in here. Okay. Got our cups. Some sticks in there. All right, so first things first, let's do this macro pearl. I'm gonna put about a 1/4 teaspoon in the bigger cups first. See how that goes. I don't really want to use another spoon. I'm just going to go for a 1/4 teaspoon in the 60 as well. That'll give us an idea of you know what it looks like with a little bit extra. So I don't think you can go over. I don't think there's such thing as too much. It's just there may be a point where it really isn't making a whole lot of difference. So you're just wasting it, you know. All right, so let's mix this in. What this is doing here. So there it kind of gives you an idea of what this, just the macro pearl looks like. The thing is, when you pull the stick out, it's very see-through. This stuff works okay, and it'll kind of create some opacity if you're making a thicker blank, you know, a bigger blank. But for pen blanks, by the time you've turned it down, it's very see-through. So you want to add a little bit of color, something to it. Now these pen blanks are probably still, even, you know, we're adding just a transparent dye, so it's still going to be kind of see-through. You're going to really definitely want to paint the tubes. I would say probably is good enough, but possibly even the inside of the blank, just to make sure. That you can't see the tube, you know, or glue splotches. I don't think glue splotches are going to really be that big of a deal, but. All right, so I wanted more blue in mine. I'm just going to add a drop. Oh yeah, look at that. See how it's kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of looks like the diamond dust kind of look. So I think we're going to add a little bit more though. I'm going to add 3 drops. Kind of sneak up on it. Ooh, that's looking a lot better right there. Look at that, that's rich. Go for a couple more drops. I'm cool with it being dark. And then you can kind of get an idea when you pull this out, you know, on the stick, what is it going to kind of look like? We're going to add actually just a little bit more. Probably ended up with like 7 or 8 drops at this point. I think that's good. I like that. We're going to put the red in here. I'm just going to go for 7 off the bat because I think that we're going to want the red to be kind of richer as well. And, you know, we could even add a little bit of black to darken this if we wanted. But I think that's good. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. These are going to be pretty wicked, I think. Get my blue put away. Get my red put away. And we're using Alumilite Clear Slow Set. Or slow, whatever they're calling it these days. So we should have, you know, 10 to 12 minutes or so of working time. It's going to be a little bit less today. Now I'm going to add a little bit of white. This is where I really want to be careful because I don't want to make it too opaque. So I'm going to add just a couple drops of white. Kind of see where we're at. I'm okay if it's a lot more on the transparent side of the white. 2 more drops. That's not too bad. I already feel these things getting a little bit warmer in my hands. That's not too bad. I think that's gonna, tough to tell the difference, but couldn't really see the stick. So I think that's good. I don't think I want to go anymore. My spoon thing away. All right, so yeah, these are going to be pretty cool. And you can get some really cool galaxy effects this way too. I mean, you think about, you know, blues and reds and purples, you know, in space. Like, think of all the space colors that you see in the Hubble pictures and stuff like that. If you mix that up, it can kind of be a little bit of a galactic kind of look as well. So let's get our temperature gauge out, see where we're at. Probably going to wait till, oh, that's at 113 already. That's good. Higher than I thought it would be. 110 there. 7. That's interesting. So that's a good, this is a good illustration of how, you know, we got a lot more resin in this cup, right? And so it's at 113. This one's in the middle, it was at 110. And this one's the smallest amount of resin, and it was at like 108. So, you know, just sitting, because we mixed it all at the same time, but, you know, how it's sitting in a cup, how much volume is there, you know, more volume, more mass of this stuff is going to heat up quicker, you know. I think we're good to go. I think we can pour, and I think it's going to be pretty sweet. All right, so here we go. You guys ready? I'm ready. I'm just going to kind of pour it all over the place, and we'll just do multiple passes with each color. Yeah, these are going to be pretty cool, I think. I do say so myself. Oh, you know what? I totally screwed this up. I did the numbers totally wrong. This is going to be extremely blue heavy. That's why. When I'm calculating things, I think of things in terms of halves. And so really these colors were halves of what they should have been. Oopsie. That's okay. I don't usually do it this way where I mix a big bucket. I usually mix the colors each separately, like add the part A and part B to each cup separately. That's how I just cast most of my pen blanks. So, so it should have been like 200 grams in the red, 120 in the white. That's what happens when you change things up and don't think when you're doing it. But I think that these are still going to look pretty wicked. I'm not like worried about it, but like, man, it just seems like there's way more blue here. Probably should have started pouring this a little bit earlier. Getting a little thick. I'm not worried. No biggie. Pretty thick though. All right, and that's all we got. That's how simple it is to pour some blanks. Man, these are gonna look wicked. I'm telling you right now, this is gonna be a really cool pen blank. All right, so we'll drop that guy in. My hands are all sticky. Get those off. Get it in the pressure pot, and we'll take it up to 70 psi. And then There we go. I'm gonna wipe off my stir stick there. It will be ready for the next round. I'm actually kind of interested to see how these things turn out, because it's interesting. Sometimes when you screw something up like that, where I messed up the ratios from what I was intending, sometimes you may be like, wow, that's actually the best way to go. Like, it turns out that's the way that works the best, actually, in the end. So some of my best creations were mess ups. See here. Yeah, I definitely need a subterranean house. I don't know if you were talking to me or not, but I don't know how people live in Arizona, in like Phoenix. I used to live in Vegas, and like the heat in Vegas is like not even close to the heat in Phoenix. For maybe like a week, it's just that hot, but when it's that hot, then Phoenix is like 150. It's crazy. I was like, okay, it's been like 15 years. I'm out of here. I had to leave Vegas. Couldn't handle it anymore. All right, so on this next round, so we're going to put all our little micas away that we used on that one, because we're going to do something a little different on this next round. So the next one, we got mini pine cones, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go with this no-con blue. So we're just going with pearl powders, regular ones. No-con blue from Eye Candy. It's a nice dark blue. I like that one. And then we got wine red from P-Town. It's a good color. I could have gone with Pinot red, I think is the one from Wine Country. They got a really nice red. It's similar, maybe a little bit more on the burgundy side than wine red. This wine red one. And then obviously blood red is a good one. Very similar, a little bit different though. So there's lots of reds. I like wine red. It works pretty good. And then for the white this time, we're going to go with micro pearl. So this is different than macro pearl. This stuff is like, it looks like powdered sugar. It's super, super fine. And it's going to give you literally like pearl. Like when you think of pearls, like that kind of, that's how you get that really pearly look. Cut myself a few little scraps here. Yeah, Texas gets pretty nuts too. I don't know how you guys deal with like 150 degrees and like 2,000% humidity. I can't handle humidity. Humidity's fine as long as it's like maybe 80 degrees or something like that. And there's an ocean next to you. Figure I'm probably just going to be drenched in sweat, so I may as well just get into a body of water. All right, so for anybody that didn't see earlier, here's the little mini pine cones. I love mini pine cones. They're so fun. So those things are ready to rock. I need to get my mold in the oven. And actually, I got to kind of stall a little bit because that mold's going to need some time to heat up. All right. So let me stop real quick and see what's happening in the chat. So Hunter was asking which way I would cut that blank, and I mentioned the way that I set that up. This is a 5x6, so 6 is the long ways, and those things were, the Cholla pieces. Let me go grab one. This will be a good stall thing. Way to stall. So the Cholla was sitting in it like the 6-inch ways. Right, like this, and so my pen blanks are 5 inches long. So I would cut it this way. All right. So you'd get a pen this way, And I do that, you only need for most, if you're turning normal pen blanks, you only need 5 inches anyway. And so that way I can get 6 blanks out of it. Otherwise you'd only get 5. So it's kind of a couple things, maximizing the size of the blank. But the reason I do this is I like seeing the sides. That's kind of my favorite thing on the Cholla. The other way to go is you can, I would have to cut them 5 inches long. And you can do it that way and they look cool. When you turn it down, you can turn into it and see some of these things kind of poking out with the color in between. That looks really cool, but at the same time, sometimes Cholla, if you don't have like the right size, it can, I don't know, it can be kind of hit or miss sometimes with how it looks. But if you do it the other way, you're guaranteed to get Cholla. It just doesn't look exactly the same, doesn't have like the kind of tendrils and all that stuff. But I like the sideways look a little bit better personally anyway. So that's how I do it. Yeah, I should have put that mold in. I took the other one out. Jeez, what am I thinking? Let's see here. Gene had enough of the humidity when he visited family. I know, it's crazy. Dave wants red, white, and I want red, white, and blue for my color choice. You got it. You got it. And so Misfit was asking Cholla. So it's, if you want to search for it, it's actually spelled Cholla. I just kind of type that into the thing. It's a cactus. It's a cactus plant that grows in kind of like the Southwest desert kind of certain areas like Arizona, Texas, I think, maybe probably some other places. But it's a really interesting like plant, and so it's actually the husk. So if you Google search it, it's the actual living Cholla cactus stuff is not. It looks a little bit different. This is like the husk or the skeleton, I think they call it. And so once it's dead and dried out, that's what you get left. So it's kind of cool, and you can buy that. I bought that stuff, a box of it from somebody on Etsy. So you can find it out there. Depending on where you live, it may be growing. There may be some restrictions on how you can harvest it. I don't know how all that stuff works. I don't think it's like endangered or anything like that. I don't know though. So just, be kind of cautious about that kind of stuff a little bit. I kind of take a peek at how I like to get my molds up to somewhere around 130, somewhere in that neighborhood. One thing that's actually kind of nice, when it is warmer in the shop, when the ambient temperature is a little warmer, it's a little less, you get a little less of that kind of corner creep. The reason I heat these things up is we have square molds, 2 things. One, these are not perfect joints that are sealed, so air can kind of get through there, and that's going to kind of cool the resin off in those corners. But the way resin generally kind of works, it's going to want to kind of gravitate towards the warmest spot, which is going to be the dead center of this mold. And so you end up with kind of rounded corners. And it's not a big deal. It doesn't make any difference necessarily, but if it's too bad, then you got to, really cut a lot off the end, or your pen blanks. In my case, I sell them. And I don't want severe, those 2 outside blanks are basically going to have these kind of severe rounded parts unless I just kind of basically waste a blank, cutting off that stuff. So I try to heat it up. It also just kind of lets the resin kind of sit a little bit flatter, and it cures a little bit, quicker, I would say a little, just a little bit. For pen blanks and stuff, it's not that critical necessarily, but For very small things, you always want to heat your mold just to kind of give it a nice, especially like silicone molds, you want to heat it up so it just kind of lays flat in there and it works a little bit better. So 130 to 150 Fahrenheit, that's a pretty good number to look at. I keep my oven is kind of set, I don't know, these toaster ovens suck, so I do have temperature gauges in there. I think generally it's sitting around 150. And so what ends up happening is usually by the time I get done, if I time things kind of right, I can get the mold in, and then by the time I'm done kind of mixing and getting everything ready, then, you know, it's at like 135 or so. I don't really like letting them sit. They don't need to get up to 150. That's actually pretty hot. If it's so hot you can barely even touch the thing, probably a little bit too warm on HDPE. But like I said, about 130, 135 is pretty good. All right, so I think let's get rolling here. So I'm going to switch to I think by the time we're done, it should be where I want it or pretty close. So we'll switch to this view again. So I got my cup zeroed on the scale. So, first things first, we need to write some notes, don't we? Get out of my work area. All right, so number 2, we're doing, let's see here, we're doing mini pine cones. Always gotta write your notes down. We ended up doing a 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, so, and I'm actually gonna go back to this first set of notes. So for the blue, we put like 8 or 9 drops in, something like that. Red, we put about same 8 drops. Now, what I screwed up on, I need to redo these numbers because I totally screwed those numbers up. So we did 60 grams of white, we did 95 grams of red, and whatever is left over is what was in the blue. 60 plus 95 minus 550. Like 390, is that right? Yeah, that is right. Hold on, let me just do this again. All right, so that's interesting. All right, so we got good notes now. I think we did about 4 drops of white dye. Luckily, I can go back to the video, but this is why you want to take good notes, so that if you want to recreate something, or, you know, whatever, if you have notes that you want to just say, you know, how things worked out, whatever, you can go back and you have a record of it. All right, so for this one, we're doing it's about 550 is what it turns out to be. So let's do what I was actually trying to do on that first one. So let's do 45%, 35%, and 20%. This time it's going to be 120. 95 times 2 is 190. And oops. $240. Okay. So we're gonna do. Yeah, we're gonna go kind of the same thing. I like having a little bit more blue, so we're gonna go with the No-Con blue from Eye Candy. And we got 240 grams. Right. Pretty close. Okay. So we are going to we're going to load it up. 1/2 teaspoon, I think. Let's see what a 1/4 teaspoon looks like in there. 1/4 teaspoon of No-Con blue. We're going to go with wine red from P-Town Subby on the other one, on the middle one. Wine red. And same thing, we're going to go with a 1/4 teaspoon. And then micro pearl. We're going to add probably a 1/4 teaspoon in there too. I think we'll just go with it. Okay, so let's see how that works out. Get our cup ready. So this is the middle. This is the white, red, white, and then we got blue in the big cup. So we need 275. Part A. Did pretty good there. 275. And then we need 275 of the part B. And again, we're using Alumilite Clear Slow. One trick that you can use if you're pouring out from a gallon jug like that, and so I'm at 272 grams, I need 3, right? And sometimes trying to pour with this gallon jug, especially if they're full, can really be a pain. So you can just get yourself a little cup, pour a little bit of the part B in there, and then use that, and it's much easier to kind of sneak up on a number that way. That was actually perfect. Just a little trick I use sometimes to make things a little bit easier. Okay, so stir it up. Zero that cup out while we're sitting here stirring. One thing, it is pretty warm, and the resin is going to heat up a little bit. You're going to have a little bit less working time when it's warmer. So one trick you could do if you wanted, now it's not going to work in this cup, but I could preload the mica powder in the other 2 cups if I wanted. I got plenty of time, it's not that big of a deal, but that's one kind of trick you can use to kind of get a little bit of extra working time, I guess, in a sense. Make things a little bit more efficient. Okay, looking good. Come on, scale's going all nuts. Quit it. So 190. And a little over. Again, in this case, it really doesn't make that much difference. And then 120. Okay. So we'll start off with the blue. These guys kind of lined up for you to see what's happening. Let's see what a 1/4 teaspoon looks like. Again, we're making pen blanks, so by the time you're done turning it down and drilling out the center and all that stuff, there's really not much material left. And so the trick to kind of figuring out how opaque it's going to end up, because it looks great in the cup, and if you're making bottle stoppers, then you're good to go. But I always pull a little bit out on the stir stick, and if it's super transparent with this thin amount, then it's definitely going to be in the pen blank. You're going to see the tube, and it may just look kind of yucky. So I think I'm actually going to go for another scoop. It's a little bit on the thin side, or transparent, I guess. So I think that one more quarter teaspoon. So we got a total of a half teaspoon in here, and this is 200 grams, or 240 grams. A lot of people want, like, you know, some magic recipe for micas, and the problem is each color is different, each brand can be, you know, and so it's better just to kind of, you know, sneak up on it and then keep good notes. Now at this point, this is nice and, you know, I can't see any white at all through that, so we know that in the pen blank, you know, you really shouldn't see the tube or anything like that. Okay, so we'll wipe the spoon off. Let's get some red going. I would say that it's even more indicative if you have a wooden stir stick like this, because I don't know, there's different like shades, different colors. It's a little bit harder to kind of do that, I would say, with just a white stick. But if you can see grain, you know, wood grain through your resin, definitely too see-through, and you're gonna see, and actually popsicle sticks are kind of yellow in the first place. We're gonna go for another quarter teaspoon. That was looking a little bit on the thin side. Again, you can't really add too much, you know, but it can be too transparent. No harm if you add a ton. Now I really can't see anything through there, so that's good. And then for the last thing, we're going to go with did I say a quarter? Yeah, a quarter teaspoon of the micro pearl. This is going to give us a really, really nice, rich pearl. A lot of the ones that are just called like white pearl, or, you know, whatever, and they're kind of like the more regular, I would say, like your standard mica, they really just don't, they just look like kind of sparkly white. They're not really pearly typically, I wouldn't say, not like what you think of like pearls. Micro pearl's the way to go. It's like just super pearly, super pearl going on. One thing to note about micro pearl, though, it is so fine, and it's like I said, it's like powdered sugar, so it can be kind of clumpy to mix in. So just kind of know that you're going to need to give yourself a little bit more time with that micro pearl to get it compared to like a standard mica powder, like the other colors that we had here. Let me get this thing going here. And what I'm going to do is we're just going to dump some pine cones. Well, I can get it in the, they're bouncing out. Get them in the thing here. I'm going to dump them in. We got it filled. That'll be good. Okay, we're probably already ready for pouring, temperature-wise and all that stuff. The reason we're kind of checking temperature, for anybody that doesn't really know, is to keep the colors separated. You want to be above, there's usually certain temperatures, and that's 110. That's going to be plenty. Usually for Lumelite Clear Slow, as long as you're above like 95 or so, it should not bleed the colors, you know, it should stay separated pretty well. I kind of like to go a little bit further than that in the summer because the resin is actually more, it's a thinner viscosity. than when it's like 68 degrees in the shop. So I usually wait a little bit longer. Now we're going to be pouring this into pine cones, so you don't want it too thick. You want it to be able to flow into all those little crevices and stuff. So it's kind of you got to kind of, balancing act in a sense. You don't want the colors to bleed, but you don't want it to be thick when you're pouring around things like this. All right, and that's all we got to do. It's looking pretty sweet. And so it's kind of nice to pour around something like pine cones like that, because it kind of distributes the colors. So you don't really need to like stir it or do anything. It's going to be nice and like mixed up in a sense on its own. And pressurize. Get this stir stick wiped off real quick. The resin will pop off once it cures, but I don't really want to have to wait. I want to be able to use it. And disconnect that, and we're golden, guys. We're golden. So those are going to be pretty cool, I think. What do you guys think? I was pretty excited. I'm excited to see how that kind of diamond dust idea, works out in reality, let's say. So we'll have to see. Probably post pictures of these guys this weekend. What the heck's going on here? There we go. And I'll probably be able to get them cut up. Now I am kind of taking time off the next few days. So, but I'll probably be at the shop a little bit. I don't know. We'll just have to kind of see what's going on here for this next couple days. I don't really know how in depth this planning idea of mine is going to be. I may get bored with it. I may not really get much done, or I may get into it and I may want to kind of give myself a few days if I don't know, I'm making breakthrough things with planning. But I'm guessing that probably this weekend, because the thing is I need to get these things cut up and then listed on the website next week. That was the whole point of doing it this week. So I'm pretty sure that these things will be cut and I'll get pictures up this weekend of these things. And then if you're not on the email newsletter, that's where you get first notification of when these things go up on my website. Just to give you guys a hint, typically it's going to be Wednesday mornings is when things actually get posted to my website. But the email newsletter is the first, like announcement of it. So, and then obviously I'll post on like Instagram and Facebook when I get these things cut up, just to see pictures of them. But I don't know, I'm pretty excited about these ones. Let's see here. Does anyone, yeah, you can refrigerate the resin a little bit. I have it's a freezer. These things are actually super cheap. I don't know how much this costs. I want to say it was like $100 maybe. And I keep all my cactus juice in the summer in there because that stuff will just flat out cure in the jug depending on what the temperature gets to. So I always keep my cactus juice in there. I don't keep my Alumilite Clear Slow like chilled necessarily. There's plenty of time with that resin, so I don't really see a huge advantage to it. But what I do, the other resin I use for my color swirl blanks for the team color ones on my website, That I use Alumilite clear or Alumilite white, and that stuff has a 2-minute working time. There is just no way, it's 80 degrees, there's no way that I could get 3 colors done if I just let that sit on the counter out here. So I keep that stuff cold, and I just like the way that works, thicker. So, you know, if you chill it, it's thicker. So like the cooler the temperature, the thicker the viscosity of the resin is. And it gives me just a few more seconds in the summer, as long as it's cool enough to get 3 color pours done. See here. Ah, you ordered a Dunkin' Junk shirt. Thanks. That's awesome. Yeah, I finally kind of lowered the prices on the, like, I was finding out, like, well, stickers, I think is what it was also. Teespring kind of sucks. It's super convenient having it on YouTube, but it's not really the greatest thing on the planet. I don't know. Like the stickers, I had the stickers where, I don't know, it was like, I think the stickers were like $3 and then shipping was like $8. And I was like, this is just silly. Come on, guys. It costs like $1 maybe to ship stuff. So, let's see here. I don't know if I'm missing anything else. You got several, yeah, the bigger pine, and there's a ton of pine cones. There's actually a website that, I'm trying to think what it was now. I found a website that literally you could buy like any kind of pine cone on the planet, and I mean there was hundreds. They categorized them by like super large and like large, medium, small, tiny, and so there's tons of different pine cones out there. It's pretty fun. You can do lots of different things with it. No, I'm not really worried about air pockets on those. As long as you have enough room for the resin to kind of flow around stuff, then you should be fine just dumping it on top. Certain things I end up pushing down into the resin if it's going to just trap air. Because like if you put something, if I had something in a mold and it literally was just like a hump and there's like this pocket where resin just couldn't even get to it, then you're going to get an air pocket. The pressure pot can't fix a void, you know, where there's no air, and the resin can't get to it. That's not going to do anything with the pressure. But pressure pots fix air bubbles, you know, so as long as it's just a bubble, it'll collapse it, the resin will fill that. But in this case, the little mini pine cones, they usually work pretty well. The resin will flow around it. Again, though, you know, I probably could have worked a little bit faster, and like the thinner the viscosity in that case, the more it's going to flow around stuff like that. So it's kind of a balancing act. Like I said, you want to be above a certain temperature. Maybe, you know, I personally like a certain kind of viscosity. In this case, 100 and I think I probably started pouring at about 115, 113, 115. I could probably start pouring at like 105 would be probably more ideal, just with the viscosity of it at that point and the amount of time. But one thing that is kind of nice also is pressure does kind of help kind of push stuff around a little bit. So I'm not really worried about voids or anything like that. Definitely not on the Cholla. There's plenty of like negative space and holes and stuff for the resin to get around. Oh, let's see here. The basement stays 68. Nice. Pretty cool. Yeah, I know. Pine cones are they're really interesting. I like the like shapes. A lot of times I'm into like shapes of things, like the design, the pattern. And so it's really neat. Pine cones are great. Cool. Yeah, the redwood and senior. Are those the ones? Let's see. Redwood. I got some of those, I think. Redwood. And then the alder cones are like the super tiny ones. They don't even really look like pine cones. I think those are called alder cones. Those are pretty sweet. I'll let you know. I actually have lots of pine cones. Like I said, I just ordered, not too long ago, ordered a bunch of different ones. And so I got bags from, you know, wherever it was. But I will definitely hit you up next time for sure. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it. I know it's kind of a quick one today, but I don't know. I wanted to make a couple batches of pen blanks. I can't wait to see how these things turn out. So if anybody wants to grab one of these guys, there's only going to be 6 of each one, and I'm probably going to keep one of them for myself, actually. I'm thinking about trying to get a project done for 4th of July, possibly. So we'll have to kind of see about that. So maximum, there's going to be 6 of each type available, and they should be probably up on my website next Wednesday, I would say, somewhere around there. And just to let you guys know, for anybody that doesn't exactly know how all this stuff works on my website, I know it's kind of weird. I have 2 areas. There's pen blanks. If you go to like the menu, there's one that's just called pen blanks, and those are the pen blanks that I've been carrying forever. They're like the team color ones, and all, you know, like the honeycomb and all those things that I keep in stock. I always continually restock them. And then there's short runs, which is not the most awesome title of stuff, but they're just short runs. That's what I call that. So things that I make on the stream like this, they're going to be under the short runs category. And then in the menu, it'll drop down if you're looking for just specifically pen blanks under short runs, then you can look that way. It's all kind of categorized that way. But I'm just going to link to the short runs section, and that shows everything that I have. And so it's either stuff I've made on the stream like this, or sometimes I think of something in my head and I just want to make a batch of something, you know, and try it out. So that's where that kind of short runs, you know, I just kind of do a batch of something. The thing is, I'm not necessarily going to restock them if ever, you know, most of them I'm not going to make more of. So just to let you know how that kind of works on my website, there's the link, and you can, like I said, wait till next Wednesday. You can go and check out and see what, you know, other stuff that I've made if you want to, you know, kind of check it out, see how it works. But you can check that out. Yeah, limited runs, I guess that would be a good one. I was thinking about calling something like limited. That seems more appropriate, I guess. So you might, I don't know, I might even change the name of it eventually, but I've been calling them short runs for a while. Most people kind of know what those are. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the evening. Thank you all for joining the fun tonight. It was fun kind of playing with these things and just seeing, like, one thing that I do know for sure, if anybody, you know, does, you know, make and sell blanks, and I would actually even say if you make things, it seems like it doesn't matter if it's like an American thing or whatever, red, white, and blue, typically those things just go. You know, like I don't know, I guess there's Cubs fans and like there's a lot of sports teams that are red, white, and blue. A lot of countries, I guess, technically are red, white, and blue as well. But they're a good seller, usually, you know, things that are red, white, and blue. And I think that goes for both blanks and things that you're making as well. So just to kind of let you know, it's not a bad choice if you're thinking about, oh, what should I make today? Red, white, and blue is a good one. So anyway, thanks, Frank. Yeah, hopefully I'll get some planning done and get, I don't know, my schedule is kind of out of whack. I've got all these physical therapy things and I'm trying to like reconfigure like a workout schedule that works for the physical therapy things that I'm also doing. So there's been a lot of things going on lately that I just need to sit down with scheduling, but also kind of think about some planning for like the streams, for videos and all that kind of good stuff as well. So it'd be kind of fun. I'm trying to do a little bit more planning this year. It hasn't really gone so awesome so far, but hopefully I'll get myself back on track for everything that's coming up for the next few months. So anyway, a big thank you to Dave and Richard for super chatting. I appreciate the support, and I guess that's about it. Now I should be getting a video up this Sunday. I think I should be able to get this video edited. It's going to be a doozy. You're going to want to check it out. Stainless Bottle Stoppers came out with a new product, and it's called so they recently came out with a hammer, a brass hammer. They came out with now a carving, or like a carving mallet. So you can just kind of tap chisels and stuff. That's kind of what these are usually used for. So I made a project with the larger size of this, and it's a good one. So I think that you guys are going to want to check that out. Hopefully, like I said, I should be able to get all the video done. The thing is done at this point. I just need to get the video edited. So be looking for that on Sunday morning. But anyway, I hope you have a wonderful evening and a great weekend. Hopefully you'll get in the shop and make some fun stuff. I don't know, maybe you'll make some red, white, and blue blanks or something like that. So anyway, guys, I will see. So next Wednesday is up in the air if I'm going to be doing a stream. I don't know exactly how this planning and all these things are going to be working out. I need to plan to do my planning thing. So tentatively, there may not be a stream next week. I'm not entirely sure yet. It just kind of depends on like the scheduling of everything. So just to let you know, at this point, I'm kind of thinking we're probably going to be having a stream. I'm probably going to have everything wrapped up by then, but just in case, I'll let everybody know on Facebook and Instagram if there's not going to be a stream. Otherwise, just assume there's probably going to be a stream. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend, have a great night, and I will see you on the next stream.